Hello and welcome to the first of our breakdown and reviews of The House of Dragon Season 2. I'm going to be starting with episode 1, unsurprisingly, because that's the only one that's currently available. Well, I thought it was pretty good, but we'll get into that. I've got a couple of my panelists who are going to be joining me to discuss and take the show apart in fine detail. Now, I've only seen the episode once. I literally finished watching it about 15 minutes ago. That's why we had to delay the stream and go up a bit later than advertised. So my apologies for that. Also, just to let people know, there will be no Nielsen ratings show tomorrow because tomorrow I'm out drinking and it will be a bit difficult to get back in time. So no Nielsen ratings show tomorrow. Anyway, okay, good to see. We've got Keith in the chat. Jamalama is here. Nice to see you. So, first of all, representing the House of the Stars and Stripes, it's Blue Collar Loser.
You pick Stitch, man. What little monster.
House of Stitch. Okay, fantastic. And representing the House of the Acolyte fan club, very small house. We have Leroy Peters.
Okay, wise guy.
How's it going? Well, you know,
I'm doing good. I did ask. It's funny. I told my cousin, his son is I wouldn't say he's a huge star. He's a big sci-fi fan. I told him about The Acolyte. He hasn't seen it yet, but after a couple of episodes and reviews on Acolyte, I went to him and said, "Man, be prepared because I don't think you're gonna like The Acolyte." I like it, but I don't think you're gonna like it. And he's like, "Leroy, I haven't seen it yet, but I've already heard the stories and the reviews. So thanks for letting me know."
Oh, okay. Well, let's refocus and get into House of Dragon. So, first of all, if people haven't seen the House of Dragon before, just going to clarify a couple of things. First of all, you can watch House of Dragon without having seen any of Game of Thrones, and that is an advantage because to commit to Game of Thrones, you have to commit to not only watching 8 seasons of television, 6 seasons of which are pretty good, but you also have to commit to enduring the biggest disappointment in television history when you get to the final season. So, which is not so good. But so far, House of Dragon is a pretty damn good show. Everyone had very low expectations for it. It was kind of a bit under radar. Didn't have a huge budget. Came in on time. We have discussed it on the channel before when I interviewed one of the cast, Will Johnson, who was in season 1. He lost his head, literally. And now we're on season 2. So let's get into it. Now, I've only watched this episode once, as I said, so I'm not going to do a story breakdown. But this show is very much a kind of political chessboard. And it's really... the first season was really about all of those pieces maneuvering into place to play the game of war. And now war is starting. And we're seeing the first moves and counter moves and strategy being discussed and rejected and things of this nature. So let's just go with first impressions of the episode overall. Blue Collar, what are your thoughts? How do you find it so far?
It was refreshing and also surprising to see Winterfell, which anybody who's watched Game of Thrones know that's the basics of the first season. And they show Winterfell, which I didn't see coming, but also my cousin and Lance and Leroy. Boy, I wanted to ask you. I was like, Susan, Lance knows this stuff, the industry. So many beautiful wide shots. I'll try to pull some up, man. I'm like, where did they film this? Because the wide shots are just excellent in this episode. And production,
it definitely has got a what I would call a sense of scale.
Yes,
that is very true. It looks big because the world is big. But do you think it's off to a good start?
Oh, definitely, because this is the aftermath of the end of season 1, because you're wondering, is there a time jump? Because House of the Dragon, some people could say it's kind of confusing, like 6-month time jump, 10-year time jump. This is maybe a week after the end of season 2. And yeah, it's really good because we're waiting for the buildup of war. And now at the end, which we'll get into, war, okay, now it's the shit hit the fan. But in the CGI, yet again, whatever the budget for season 1, the dragons look excellent in this TV show. Like, just very high budget on the dragons and the details on them. And I was happy with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the opening titles. One of the
Yeah.
criticisms of the show last time was that the opening titles were not as inventive.
Yeah,
were
just
a little bit boring.
seeing that
I
right
like,
there is cool.
but I like this kind of this tapestry because, of course, back in
Yes.
the olden days, as it were, this is how people told stories. They created tapestries of, ancient victories and scraps and that kind of thing, which is why we have the tapestry of Bayeux, telling the story of the Norman conquest and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I quite like this idea of the tapestry, and there's quite a lot going on, and if you watch that opening title, there's so much detail in that tapestry. You could really pick it apart. Here you can see, supposedly the dragons kind of like swallowing up the kingdom and the people defending the Red Keep.
Yeah.
It's all great stuff. Really do like it. First impressions, Leroy?
First and foremost, I think the entire show, the first season and as well as this episode, are 10 times better than all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Well, I mean, I've got to agree. First season was very, very, very good. Very good.
This episode, what I liked about, I'm going to give both what I like and dislike about it. First, what I liked about it. I agree with both of you guys. It's off the chain, the CGI, the acting, the writing. I like the opening credits. I thought this was better than last season and also better than the opening credits of the Game of Thrones. But big kudos to the producers and those who created it. The character of, I think it's Prince Daemon,
Matt Smith,
his brother.
Yeah,
he's being more of an a-hole, but a good a-hole, a conniving a-hole. The person I never liked was Otto Hightower. I think he's manipulated.
Oh, my cousin hates Otto, but in a good way, because she loves the actor.
Yeah, I've seen that actor. I think he was in The Replacements with Keanu,
also
with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
but so it goes to how long ago that movie was, but he's just a manipulative son of a bitch.
Yeah,
and
he's always
Aegon and Aegon kind of. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but Aegon kind of reminds me of me. He's trying to he wants to prove himself or why he should be king, but it's like his mom and his granddad are getting in the way of him trying to, be king.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Now, there's only one thing I don't like about this episode, and I think you guys know where I'm going with, was like towards the end, because they couldn't find Aemon. When I saw it the first time, I thought the purpose was to find Aemon Targaryen and kill him. I forgot that the assassin asked him, well, we couldn't find him. Then, like, when I saw it the second time, I had to force myself to watch it the second time. I put 2 and 2 together. So
yeah. We'll definitely get into the ending. Well, most endings of this TV show are always the most controversial part.
Yeah, and I know it's a TV show. I know it's fantasy, not historical fiction or anything like that. But to kill a child, especially the way these two guys did it, that really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, anyone who knows, and you guys know how I feel. I don't have any kids, but I just saw my grandnephew today. He'll be 2 in January. I got cousins who I've known since they were born. Children are sacred to me. And again, I know this is TV. I know it's fantasy, but not all lines are meant to be crossed, y'all. I mean, there are boundaries for a reason. I think they really, with that scene, they really crossed the boundary in that. Other than that, it was a great episode.
You don't see them kill the kid; you just hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, you can actually hear him, but you can hear them sawing his head off. I don't think.
I mean, it's pretty gruesome. You can literally hear the
What's even worse is the sound design. His mother literally willfully gave him up. I mean, what mother does that?
Well, she's not the most mentally stable.
Yeah, she's got mental health issues, so like most of us. But okay. Well, look, going into the world of Westeros, this is you've got to understand that this is a world that somebody has created, George R.R. Martin, and it's a world where lots of dark shit happens, and
you must be fascinated with dark shit, man.
And I mean, well, I'm not fascinated at all. I'd be quite happy to be in a world where there's none of that. But but in history, people often try to kill the children of kings. That's very, very common in history.
That is true.
Two princes in the Tower were murdered. So in England, so that
or even the Bible when Herod ordered the children of Bethlehem to be slaughtered up to 2 years old.
Yeah, so it happens even in the real world. So
I guess I'm just not used to seeing that. I mean, it's
it's
very hard.
Remember episode 1 with Jaime tried to kill Bran because he walked in on him sleeping with Cersei, and I mean Bran was a couple years older, but Bran was still like 8 years old or something. Jaime just pushed him out the goddamn window.
That's why I hated Jaime. Even though he had some redeeming qualities, I never forgave Jaime for pushing Bran. And I think he and Cersei, well, especially Cersei, because I hated Cersei. That's another reason why I didn't like Game of Thrones, because Cersei got away with too much stuff, and she got off way too easy in the end. I mean, she reminded me of Blue Duck from Lonesome Dove. She was the female version of Blue Duck in Lonesome Dove. But so far in this prequel, look, I've yet to see that. I'd say the closest person I've seen to any resemblance of Cersei is Otto Hightower.
Well, he's not quite as evil as her, but yeah, he's up there. He's up there. Let's talk about the opening scene. So at the end of last episode, the two princes basically took their dragons out to go and talk to the various other houses to see which way their loyalties were going to swing. And one of the sons flew up to the
Winterfell.
Yeah, Winterfell, and
I think it was Lucas, or Lucas, whatever his name was.
Is this the same actor as the son at the end of the last season? Because
I don't know. I don't remember.
I shall look it up for you.
Yeah, I was curious to know that because
it's been 2 years, so I think he's a little bit older.
Well,
yeah, but this is supposed to be after.
Is there a time jump of 2 years?
What I'm saying, but for the people though, it's like it's the actors oftentimes age because it's like storyline's been a week, but then for us it's been 2 years since they filmed it, so it's
well, I was curious to know if it was him, but it was interesting. I wasn't expecting to see Winterfell. That was kind of cool, and of course everyone up there is talking Northern, which is like why Northern Bastard should be on. I don't know why he's in the chat and not on here. But
maybe you didn't send him the link.
No, I did send him the link. I've sent it from the device. So I don't know
Lance. What impressed me about when they were talking at Winterfell at the wall is when the guy on the right mentioned how the king and his father and the queen his father brought the king and queen and their dragons to the wall, and he said the dragons would not cross that wall.
Yeah, that was
cool.
That was a great little moment actually, and
the fact that the dragons wouldn't cross the wall, they knew that wall was there for a purpose because there was something even more terrifying than them.
Yeah, Well, there's a great sort of little moment where the prince like is talking to him, and then he sees the view and he kind of stutters. I really liked that. Good result from the actor as well, because of course all he would have actually been looking at is green screen. Yeah, so that's this scene here. So okay, so Northern might come on in a bit. Yeah, or no worries, Luke, man. Just tell us when. So yeah, so what we're seeing in this episode is the beginning of the division, really, of the kingdoms, and the houses within those kingdoms, and who's pledging for who. At the moment, one faction doesn't have enough to attack, but needs to score a victory. They've just lost a son. Of course, we see the impact of the death of that son on the Queen and various other characters. That there's quite a powerful. Yeah, that's the moment where he kind of stutters. I really like that whole bit. But there's the scene where the Queen flies her dragon down onto that beach because the fishermen.
And she finds the remains of her son and his dragon.
Yeah, they've caught the remains of one of the dragons. Its wing, but also in there because we don't know if he died up to that point. We know that the dragon got bitten in half, but you never actually saw what happened to him. But just to make sure there's no debate about it, his head is also in the fishing net.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely something glitchy going on with the chat actually as well, because I've
noticed.
I've put a couple of comments in and they've been dropped. And people having trouble logging on.
Well,
so
it's good, Lance. Before that, because we have her cousin Rhaenyra, and she's flying, patrolling, and her and Daemon have a little tit for tat because Daemon, he does make a good point where yes, Daemon could be considered an asshole, and often he is. But he's like, right now, he's like, you and me need to go to fly to King's Landing and take care of these guys. I'm tired. Well, what's my wife doing? What's Rhaenyra? She's mourning. Well, the thing is, she's queen. She doesn't have time to mourn. And and as you're saying, Lance, she's like, I'm a mother myself. And when my kid first died, until I seen his remains, I couldn't accept it mentally. And Rhaenyra's going through, she heard her son's dead. She thinks he's dead, but she needs some confirmation. But Daemon's coming from a military tactician where yes, no doubt you're mourning, you're losing, but from a tactician standpoint, the queen doesn't have time to mourn. The queen's got to be acting right now. And Daemon could be considered a jerk, but he's right in a sense, because while you're taking time off your enemies, the green faction, these guys are building strength while you're mourning the loss of your kid.
And remember, Daemon used to be married. The woman who just flew back to Dragonstone.
Rhaenyra.
Not Rhaenyra. She was married to the black guy, the captain, sea captain. Yeah, Daemon was married to their daughter.
Yep.
And she committed suicide, and she told Daemon, I had to see for myself to see if she was dead or not.
Yeah.
And so that shut Daemon up real quick.
Yeah, because Daemon does say that the two of them, because Vhagar right now, Vhagar is the biggest dragon, which is actually her daughter's dragon.
Which Daemon flies.
Yes, and he's like, right now we have to be tactful. The two of us, right now, for their enemies, Vhagar is the biggest threat they have. The two of us could take him down, but she's like, I'm tired. I can't, man.
Yeah. Well, let's go through this in similar topics to what we've been doing the Band of Brothers one. So let's go through the story first. In terms of quite a lot happens. One of the things they do with this show is it's a lot of short but quite poignant scenes. Very little wasted dialogue, which is very, very good.
Yes, I agree.
Get a lot of stuff happening quite quickly. Moves and counter moves and this kind of thing. There wasn't much action or to speak of, but in terms of drama and high stakes, tension's just ratcheting up all the time. So I mean, I wasn't bored for one moment. And I as soon as I get off the stream, I'm probably going to rewatch it again. We see the return of Lord Corlys, the Sea Snake, back from being injured. We know that happened. We don't see that in the last season, but we're told about it. You've got the Hightowers still kind of plotting to really essentially end up with Queen Alicent on the throne, but at the moment they have to put up with Aegon, I believe it is. And he's kind of turned into he was more interested in entertaining his son in the council meeting than he was in discussing strategy. He's almost got like Joffrey traits a little bit.
Yeah.
He's different from Joffrey. He's not a psycho.
He's just dumb.
No. Yeah, I think he will be after this episode.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. What do we think about the character of the White Worm?
You mean the hoe?
Massaria. Yeah, don't call her that, Leroy.
Hey, she was Damon's side piece. I mean,
Yeah.
and she did
Yeah.
she did live in a brothel. She ran brothel, so I'm just calling it like it is. I mean, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
But I think she's very smart, very intelligent, and I thought it was the fact that Damon was able to convince her to tell him what she knows, which in this case got her freedom. I thought that was pretty smooth, and she's cute too.
Well, she's an interesting character.
Yeah.
She's half English, half Japanese.
Yeah, I saw
One
that.
time.
I actually thought that she might have been from, might have been an actress cast from one of the countries they were filming in. But
She sounds French. She sounds almost French a little bit.
She's got a very, very thick accent. Already been in 28 productions, including La La Land. She was in Annihilation, Ex Machina. So quite a few good credits to her name already. She must have a good agent.
I tried to watch Civil War, man. I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes of it.
You try to watch which one?
Civil War. She was in Civil War. I couldn't get past 5 minutes of that. It made no sense to me.
I saw it at the cinema, so I had to watch all of it.
Yeah, I did take her character as that she's not picking a side. She's there for one thing, to get paid. Damon does get upset with her, like, you could have, like, you sold our secrecy enemies, and she's like, well, Otto was paying me. That's it. Like, I'm not loyal to you, I'm not loyal to them. I'm in it for the money. And it's like she's very neutral, of course. And she says to Damon pretty slick, where she's like, you're just pissed off at me because you can't get to them. But he's like, stop blaming me for your guys' problems. That's all I am. I'm just a middleman in a sense.
I'm surprised Damon let her live.
Well, because
any things in this episode, murder of children aside,
right,
that surprised you guys? Any story?
Not really. I mean, like I said, like last season, this whole episode was better than all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, in my opinion. And other than murder of children aside, nothing really surprised me in this episode. I mean, I was entertained. It was good. The drama is excellent. I could use a bit more action, but we'll probably get that later. But other than that, I mean, and I kind of like the dialogue between Aemon and the captain of the guard. I forgot his name. He was Rhaenyra's first lover. Now he's Queen Alicent's lover.
Kristen Cole.
Yeah. For me as a veteran, I kind of understand what they're talking. I kind of agree with them because, well, be quiet, Darth Plato. Anyway, as a veteran, now I'm not a military tactician, but what they're doing kind of makes sense, and what they're doing, they're basically saying we can't be down here twiddling our thumbs. We have to attack first. We have to get everything together, and we have to get our army together, and we got to attack first. We got the dragons, we got the army, we got the might. What are we doing here sitting there? And they're planning on strategy, while Otto Hightower comes in and basically shuts that down. And that's another reason why I don't like Otto Hightower. I'm not, like I said, Aegon, he's young. He's like we were all young once, but I think he really wants to prove himself, because he kind of reminds me of me. He wants to prove himself worthy to be king, but he can't seem to be doing that if his mother and his grandfather are basically trying to tell him what to do. And the only person he trusts fully is his brother, which is another thing I can relate to from personal experience.
Yeah,
because Aemon obviously cares about his brother. He obviously cares about the realm. And I know it sounds messed up, but they're not going to win this war twiddling our thumbs. And now that obviously Daemon and Rhaenyra struck first, I don't know if Rhaenyra knew what Daemon was planning, but the fact that they just killed his son in the most gruesome fashion, I'm really looking forward, interesting how he's going to react in episode 2. Because I think the shit really has hit the fan.
Well, the problem with Aegon is that because Viserys was older and sickly, that Viserys was raising his daughter Rhaenyra to become the new ruler. So Aegon is very inexperienced. He's very playful. Unlike Joffrey was just maniacal. Aegon is immature, but he doesn't know what he's doing, and that's kind of the problem. He's just there as being a tool, as a puppet. You know, Alicent and Otto, they're really the ones that run this shit. So it's Aegon, yes, is childish, but then again, he wasn't raised to be a ruler because his father, Viserys never intended him to take over the throne. That's why.
Exactly. Well, I think Aegon knows this.
Oh, he definitely does.
He knows this, and he wants to prove. I think that's why the only person in his family he now trusts is his brother, Aemon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that scene where we see the people come to petition in court.
Yeah,
and his idea is to just say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And Lord Hightower, the hand has to go to say, "Sir, we can't do that because if you give him his goats back."
But when the Smith came in,
well, I was just
Lord Hightower was about to tell him you can't do that. I said we need to let the small folk know that we are for them.
Yeah, I was.
He basically told his grandfather to go know your place, get out of here.
Yeah, that was really good, that bit, because for a minute I thought he was just going to be this kind of
a puppet,
toad weakling, but actually at that point he understands. He's got some skills because he understands that if we don't keep the key people happy, then the place is going to fall apart.
Exactly.
And the Smithies are the armorers. They provide them with the weapons. So.
Yes.
And I know that Smith played Bill O'Hara in the TV show Warrior on Cinemax. Kieran Brew is his name.
Right.
If you haven't watched Warrior, it just completed its 3rd season. Watch it. It's good.
What's it about?
It's based off the writings of Bruce Lee. It should have.
It's
what Kung Fu should have been.
I know what I've seen season 1. Yeah.
Season 2 was better. It's what Kung Fu should have been. And the guy who plays the Smith, Kieran Brew, he played a cop in Warrior, and he is a great actor. I mean, I loved him in Warrior. I mean, he was a flawed character, but he had a lot of redeeming qualities.
So when we first see Olivia Cook as the queen in this episode, she appears to be dining in, or rather her lover is.
Somebody's dining in.
Pretty.
Hey,
I was like, okay, what's going on here? Now Matthew Needham, who's an excellent actor,
I don't like his character at all.
You're not supposed to like.
That's another manipulative SOB. I hope he dies a painful death.
Well, funnily enough, you've read my mind, because that's exactly what I think every time I see this guy. And by the way, I think his weak walk, his feeble walk, I think it's fake. I think he can walk.
Oh, so you think he's a Kaiser Soze, huh?
Yeah, he's doing that whole "I'm a weak cripple, but you should listen to what I say" kind of thing.
Well,
But,
he's definitely whispering in Aegon's ear now, because he said, remember, he said, your grandfather was your father's hand. And he was basically telling him he's trying to control you just like he tried to control your father. If you want to prove to the world that you are worthy to be king, you need someone, he's not saying he needs a yes man, but he needs someone who's gonna basically help you better in your purpose, instead of listening to some old school manipulative.
But this guy is just as manipulative. He's trying to
agree.
He's trying to get
he's watching out for himself.
Yeah, he's trying to get the job of the hand effectively. That's his plan. But whether he'll succeed, we'll see.
Yeah.
But
his loyalties are to Alicent, because he had to pick out some new servants since he wiped out. He'd set a set of fire last season and killed a bunch of innocent people.
Yeah, I mean that was
he killed his own brother and father. His brother was actually the biological father of Rhaenyra's 3 sons, and he killed him and his father. I mean, so he's a very despicable human being.
Yes,
and Candy's going to refer to him as Pinky Finger. I like the scene where the Queen she's bathing, and she realizes that all of her bathers, her house staff, they've all changed. And the reason they've all changed is because he had them murdered. Because they're basically trying to break up the spy network within the palace that's leaking out information. So his answer to that was to effectively murder them all, because he couldn't prove who it was. So that was a good scene. I liked that. It was very subtle. It showed that the Queen was human, because she found it really disturbing that the people that used to be around her are no longer there. And it also, I think it's her. She's getting a sense that maybe this guy is not to be trusted entirely. You don't want people that effectively are in his good books working around you all the time, because what if he suddenly decides he doesn't like you? Then there's all these people that could kill you potentially. So yeah, it's good. Here we have these two characters planning out strategy with coins, which later get stolen. I have to admit, I thought that in the scene towards the end with the kids, and spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the show yet, but someone dies in this episode. I actually thought that it was going to be Mr. Eye Patch. He was going
to Aemon Targaryen.
Yeah, Aemon. I thought he was going to appear. He was going to suddenly a sword was going to go through someone's head, and he was going to be standing there.
I thought he was going to die. Lance, I thought they were going to succeed and kill him.
No,
I had no idea that they were going to go after his nephew.
No, they won't kill him. They won't kill him. His character's too cool. They won't kill him yet. So we'll see what's going to happen to him. Let's talk about cast and characters. Let's talk about cast first. Who is your favorite actor in this show? Who for you is reaching for the Oscar, reaching for the
Emmy?
Emmy?
The Emmy?
Well, yeah, award. Same difference. Who's the standout?
I won't say I'm a fan of Matt Smith, but I do think if there's anyone that's gonna being nominated for Best Actor, it's him.
Yeah, Matt. Okay, so Matt Smith for Leroy. Blue, you got a? Now I'd like to hear from people in the chat. Yeah. Who is your favorite actor, not character? Favorite actor in the show?
I do admit, season 1 when I first watched it, I did like Matt Smith the best. However, watching a second time, I had a much respect for Paddy Considine.
And incredible.
Yes,
he definitely, as much as I do like Damon and Matt Smith.
He's not in season 2.
I
so
know.
you can't pick him.
I know.
in this
Right,
this episode?
episode, definitely, I can look up her name. The woman who plays Rhaenyra, because playing
Emma
Grief,
Darcy.
yes, playing
And she
Grieving mother
prefers
is not
and,
easy.
and she's non-binary. She
Yeah,
prefers to
I
call
know,
they
I know.
them or that.
You
So
talking about Eve Best?
No, well, Rhaenyra sits Emma Darcy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Emma Darcy. Okay.
Yeah. No, I definitely to like Leroy would say, I've seen some interviews. I go by her performance, not her social media stuff.
Right.
In terms of actors, yeah, Damon and Rhaenyra didn't get the most airtime because this was a pretty packed episode, a lot of characters, but for the scenes she did have, because you see a grieving mother, you see how much she's distraught, and then once and I'll pull up later, Lance, the whole funeral scene, and after that, now how pissed off she gets, she's like, you know what, I want Aemon's head. And just now he went from a grieving mother to now a vengeful, angry tactician. Plus, she's a queen. Now the queen is ready because she needed that confirmation. She knows officially her son's dead. Now she puts on her game face.
Yeah. For me, quite hard to choose, but I mean, Matt Smith, I absolutely love him as an actor. I think he's fantastic.
Right.
But I mean, if I'm not picking him,
Otto Hightower.
Reese Ifans is probably up there. I do like Eve Best. I think she's very, very strong. Steve Toussaint as well. These two are great in their scenes. Two powerhouse Shakespeare veterans. At their job. Phil Daniels, who's standing in the middle there. This is a scene, I think, from season 1, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
He was in a play with a friend of mine, and I got to meet him. So
I never knew Reese Ifans was that good of an actor until I saw Game of Thrones, because I remember him from, as I mentioned earlier, The Replacements with Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman, and he was funny. He was funny in that movie. Then he did on Formula 51 with Samuel L. Jackson. And in fact, those are the only 2 movies I've seen him in. I haven't seen his other work. So to see him playing this hateful, manipulative person, it kind of reminds me of Robin Williams going from doing comedy to doing sort of a serious role in Good Will Hunting. Or Denzel Washington, who's known for playing good guys or flawed good guys, to doing Training Day. So I kind of agree with you. If Matt Smith and Rafe Eastman should be nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, well, I'd be surprised if. Well, it's fantasy, so they're a bit snobby about fantasy and science fiction when it comes to awards, but it would be nice, certainly, if some of the actors from House of Dragon were nominated for Emmys. Okay, let's talk favorite characters. I'm going to go first. So, the scenes that I really enjoy are always actually I like the council stuff. There's always people suggesting and counter suggesting, and the political maneuvering. I always think that stuff is what makes this show really strong. The dragons are like the icing on the cake, but they're not the thing that makes the show great, in my opinion. It's the Shakespeare nature of House of Dragon that makes it so strong. It does feel like a Shakespeare play watching this.
It does.
But I think probably I like the narrative of Olivia Cook's Queen, because she's constantly conflicted, and I like the fact that they're playing her like that. So she's very interesting. She could have easily become a bit sort of one-dimensional, and it's not fair to call her a villain, I would say. Her father, yeah, probably more so, but and I like the fact that she's now conflicting with him as well. We're seeing the beginnings of that in this episode. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I think they're going to fracture. So interesting. I think it would be good to see this character evolve. The son, it would be good to see him.
2 sons. You got the younger one and the older one.
Yeah,
The
the
eldest one.
middle one is the one who's passed away. But it'd be good to see the older one get a bit more screen time. I mean, Matt Smith's character as well is great, but I think some of the other actors have more interesting journeys with their characters. So yeah, I think gonna go with Olivia Cook, her character on this, Queen Alison Hightower, as my most interesting character. I enjoy watching her scenes because there's always a lot going on. Blue, what about you?
Do you want just this episode or for a character?
No, you just this episode.
Yeah, it said just for this episode, still Rhaenyra. I mean, and again, to you in the chat and everybody, nobody in this episode, this show gives a bad performance. It's just that, you know, when you have a cast of 35 characters, the bottom line is not everyone gets the same amount of screen time.
No. I mean, it's a very big ensemble piece, and we have more characters in it now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, part of me will always love Damon and Matt Smith, but Damon is he is what he is. He's not a complicated character. He doesn't need much of a character arc. He's just he's a fun, lovable maniac. That's it. I think
he's a prick.
Yeah, but you know, he's a prick I enjoy watching. But I would say no, Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra, this episode, it's all about her loss and her acceptance of her son, and also she has to step up, and now you have to be the queen. It's like, we understand you're a grieving mother. There's time for that, but you know, now this is the episode, the grieving mother. It's done. Okay, you had your arc. We had right here the funeral scene. Now it's time to start being queen. You know, Queen Rhaenyra, not the heir to the throne, not the grieving mom.
What about you, Leroy? Favorite character?
My opinion might change, but I have to say, I won't call it my favorite character, but the one I kind of like and respect the most is Aegon, because he kind of reminds me of me. Like when I first went in the military, one of my first purposes was to prove myself, try to mature, because at 22 I was very immature when I went in the service. And yes, he's immature, even as a father, but he really wants to prove himself worthy. He wants to show the people why he's worthy to be king, not just to the people, but to his mother, to his grandfather. And he wants to show that he's earned that right. But the problem is, and I can relate to this big time, his grandfather and his mother just keep getting in the way, trying to manipulate their own agenda. That's why the only person in his family he trusts is his brother, Aemon. True. Now, that's something, that character, I don't know, even though I don't entirely like him, but I can relate to him. So I would say that character, it might change because they just killed his son, so I don't know how he's gonna react. But I can tell you right now, it ain't gonna be good. Because if that was my child, all bets are off. Everybody's getting it.
Darth Plato's asked for opinions on Aemon. Aemon Targaryen is played by Ewan Mitchell. In the show. Interesting character. I mean, he's kind of he's really like a younger version of Prince Daemon, really.
That's exactly.
He's a good.
At first, I'm gonna say he was a younger version of Jaime Lannister, but I'd say I agree with you. He's definitely a younger version of Prince Daemon. And we got approaches
everything like strategically. He thinks exactly the same as Daemon. It's all about what's the best strategic battle move, and but he's a little bit more tempestuous. He's a lot less patient.
And we gotta remember, all these people are related.
I know. This is all about incest, Leroy. You've just got to know that with this show going in.
It is.
Yeah, Aegon and his wife are actually brother and sister, so I know how sick that is. But they're actually half brothers, half sister to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra had the same father, and technically Daemon is their uncle. So I mean, this whole messed up dysfunctional family. Wow, it's people need to remember this.
But you know, I'm sure it parallels a lot of people's lives, unfortunately. Dan Caddy, I should have done a season 1 rewatch. You should. I actually finished the last episode of season 1 this morning. I actually broke out my Blu-ray set. So glad I brought that Blu-ray set, actually. The Lord of Coin is a Lannister. That is correct. He is a descendant of the Lannister.
No, ancestor
of
Cersei and Jaime.
Jason Lannister.
Yeah, well, ancestor. Yeah. So let's move on to the special effects for the show. Now these are quite impressive special effects. We've had dragons in shows before, but the dragons here are characters. And one of the things that we learned kind of at the end of season 1 is that even though you can fly a dragon, you can't always command it, because he hadn't actually asked when the dragon killed the other dragon. The guy actually hadn't commanded the dragon to do that. He was quite shocked that it happened. It was the dragon that decided to do that on its own. But yeah, I mean, that's a nice epic shot that you've pulled up there, Blue.
Well, Lance, it's funny you say that, because we got to remember about animals in real life. They have a brain. They got a mind of their own. No animal is complete, no matter how tame you think they are, no matter how kind and wonderful you raise them. They got as long as they got a brain of their own, they're gonna do what they please. So you really can't trust animals. And I think the season finale of season 1 kind of proved that.
Yeah, and I do like, and you see this later on, that it's as angry as she is, her dragon mimics her emotions. When she starts crying and finds her son's his outfit and everything, when she screams for pain, the dragon screams after her. So the dragon does feel her emotions.
Yeah, I like that. I really liked that scene. Well, the special effects for House of Dragon are done by a company called Pixamondo. And Pixamondo have been in the special effects game for a while. Here is their website. And been doing special effects for shows like Spider-Man and so on. They have won Oscars and BAFTAs for special effects. 23 years they've been going. And they also collaborate with a college to bring new people into that world. So these are just some of the shows and films that they have worked on.
I saw John Wick 4.
Yeah,
the best of all of them.
I like C. Very good show.
Yeah, I keep meaning to watch that.
I'll break it down at some point. That's an excellent show.
So
The Crow coming up.
Yamalama, you've got no patience, man. Give us 30 seconds, honestly.
Slow burn.
Yeah, so Three Body Problem. That's another show that I've just watched. I thought.
Yeah, I will not watch the Crow remake out of respect I have for Brandon Lee.
So you got some good.
The Boys has good. Yeah, The Boys has good CGI. So.
Yeah, it does. I just watched the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Of The Boys. We can talk about that
Yeah.
a bit. So yeah, special effects for me in this first rate. I like
right there
the way that they add a lot of stuff. This is a beach in Wales, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is either Wales or Cornwall, because they shot most of season 1 in Cornwall.
You see that shot, man.
Well, it's highly probable that this is a bit of Cornwall coastline. That'll be a CGI castle added in the background. So
what about the mountains?
Yeah, I know you were, Gemma. So was I. This is the Lance Nielsen show where cheeky is the name of the game. So yeah, Northern English Bastard, who is definitely too busy to attend the show, yet keeps commenting in the chat. Says the only flaw is the night scenes are badly lit. I could barely make out what was happening in some scenes.
Oh.
There were a couple of shots that were very dark at the end of season 1 as well. But I have noticed that if you watch the show at night, those shots look a lot better. If you've got any daylight coming in whatsoever in the room.
See, this came on at 9 p.m. last night for me. Plus, I'm downstairs with just a TV on, so I didn't.
Costume design, art direction, all of that stuff in the show is first rate. I mean, I like the fact that there's that nice scene where Millicent has to put the cape back on her lover's armor. And I like the fact that was all like incorporated into the costume with the 3 pieces it goes, stuff like that. Nice details like that really make the show. There was the shot of the statue of the former king.
Oh yeah, Viserys.
The bust.
Oh yeah, that was good. I like that.
Suddenly looked up and it was like it was looking down on him disapprovingly. That was a nice moment.
Yeah, that's what Aegon goes to.
And again, good, kudos to the art department for conjuring that up. So, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? You compare this to like an episode of The Acolyte. I mean, it's just 20 times better in every aspect, really. The show looks and feels like it's value for money. I'm sure there's a lot of green screen work in the show, but I can't always tell where it is. Whereas in The Acolyte, it's like, yeah, they're on another green screen set. Great, that kind of thing.
I forgot. I like this thing too. When they call him a magnanimous, he's like, magnanimous? It just goes to show that he's really trying to be a king.
Yeah, Yeah. That was quite a funny. That was quite a funny moment. I mean,
you didn't see this in Game of Thrones. That's why I like this better than Game of Thrones. You didn't see this kind of humor.
Well, I mean, there was always a bit of humor, but I think these characters are a lot more playful. I feel that they can make them a bit more interesting.
Yeah, because if you look at besides Winterfell in this episode, the whole point of Game of Thrones at the subplot, besides the Game of Thrones, is that there's a big undead army coming to wipe us all out. Right now, these characters aren't worried about that. That's why season 1's all about peace. There's no current faction because they did say that this show will not be about White Walkers, about the Night King. This is very little supernatural elements. This is more about the political intrigue, which made arguably seasons 1, 2, and 3 so popular for.
That's great. I don't want like no witches turning up.
Nah.
All of that. I just let's get. I find that like fantasy with less magic, I find more interesting.
Yeah.
The less kind of superhero special powers elements there are.
Oh, no wonder you guys don't like the Acolyte or any of the Star Wars spin-offs.
Well, I do like some of the Star Wars spin-offs actually, Leroy. Stop putting words in my mouth. I just don't like the Acolyte because it's crap.
You said Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka were crap.
Well, we tried to be really positive about the Acolyte. We went in, with not sort of any predisposed opinions about it. We made it very clear we were going to talk about that. But when the dialogue,
I think they can make it better. So, but I still like the show. I mean,
well, you can come on my special show called In Defense of the Acolyte, and you can be on the defending panel. You think I'm joking? I'm actually.
I don't think I'll be able to because if I'm the only person defending it, I know I'll be outnumbered.
No. The idea would be to get a panel, 2 opposing panels, one who and we have a vote to see, which way you gotta argue your case as to why the show's good. Good luck. So anyway, yeah, indeed. Let's. Anyone want to say anything else about the special effects or production design before we move on?
I never really paid much attention to special effects or design. I just like the acting and the action and the whole bit of it. Like I said, the only negative thing I have about this episode was Aegon's son basically getting his head chopped off as young as he is. Other than that, the episode is terrific. I think the season is off to a great start, but at the same time, even though I don't like watching or hearing about children getting killed, it got me interested to see how Aegon is going to respond, because obviously Daemon's decision, if he was unable to kill Aemon, at least kill Aegon's son, is going to have consequences. Some very deep, serious consequences. And I'm looking forward to see how Aegon's going to respond. Is going to respond with these consequences.
This scene right here, I mean, just the logistics. So, like, imagine building back then a ladder. I mean, elevator like that.
No, right?
Oh my god!
Yeah, 700 feet. I'm still trying to figure out how they built the pyramids without today's technology.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dan Candy's volunteered to come on the show with you, Leroy, to defend the Acolyte. Good.
Thank you, Dan Candy.
There's two of you now.
But the first time we've heard in House of the Dragon, winter is coming, because that's Game of Thrones. So I hope they don't. You know,
one of the things I liked about this scene is that they didn't do a cop out and reuse any footage from. We saw this elevator we saw it from different angles from how we'd seen it before. So I don't understand why this guy is still in the chat commenting, because he said he was too busy to come on. So surely
he said he was at the ATM.
What's going on? All right. Well, let's. As no one else has anything to say about special effects, do you have a favorite line of dialogue or moment from this episode, Blue?
Yeah, I would just say with Daemon talking to Rhaenyra about Alicent, like I said, because he she at this point, you have to be a queen versus a mother, and said maybe Daemon seemed to be harsh, but he's not wrong.
Okay, Leroy.
I got a lot of favorite scenes, but I'd say
only pick one.
I know this, because the whole episode was good. But if I have to pick a good scene, I'd say when Rhaenyra found her son's remains and the remains of his dragon.
Yeah, that was powerful.
I'd say that scene is powerful.
Yeah, that was very moving. It's hard to pick one. There's a lot of really.
The entire episode was good, with the exception of the kid getting killed. The entire episode was great.
I would argue that raises the stakes considerably and adds to the drama. So I don't think that's that you can.
That's some good acting right there.
Yeah, she's good. I mean, Emma Darcy really throwing herself into this role. I do love the actress that played the younger.
Olivia.
Millie Alcock.
Millie Alcock,
yeah. She's a cracking actress, really good, and just had, I don't know, she kind of had the character just down for me. Really.
I do admit that I first liked her better as Rhaenyra, but after 2 or 3 episodes, I do feel like Emma Darcy started coming to the character more, and I do have a new respect for Emma Darcy as time has passed.
Yeah, I don't think we saw, and I've only watched the episode once, but I don't think we saw either of these twins in this episode, did we?
Yeah, we did. We saw one on the side of the high towers, and we saw one who just brought the white worm to Daemon.
Oh, you're right.
Right, yeah.
I don't know their names. I know they're Lannisters. They're the Lannister twins.
But they've ended up pledging for opposing sides.
Yeah, they're on opposite sides.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. That could turn out later to be a ploy.
Yeah,
we will see.
He has a good scene with Damon because Damon's pissed off, like, well, you could have killed him right there. And he goes, well, Damon, we did make an oath to protect everybody in his family, not just sides.
I would say also reflects the American Civil War as well.
Yeah, that's after Damon says, put her in the cells as a traitor. And then he goes off on a guy and gets in his face. He's like, well, Damon, what'd you want us to do? We're basically the Secret Service. You know, we can't pick sides.
Yeah, here he is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So Damon goes off on about that.
Yeah. Well, the High
It's
Tower
like
usurped the throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Played by the Tittensaw brothers. They are actual twins in real life.
I thought it was just one person playing twins.
No, two
Oh.
brothers. Yeah, two
Nice.
brothers playing these two guys.
There's so much to unpack in one episode.
It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to process. Like I said, I do need to watch it again. But I like the yeah. I mean, going back to that the beach scene where she finds the remains. I really like the moment where we see the dragon feel her pain, and you get a sense of how. It's a bit like an Avatar when somebody bonds with an Iku, they bond with them for life, and that Iku will only fly with that rider.
Yeah.
And the dragons here do the same thing. And the longer you fly with that dragon, the more you bond with it. So it's Douglas A. Barton, who's a writer. Welcome to the channel, mate, and we got to have you on sometime. Matt Smith already looks iconic in this role, absolutely. And if his character survives, I don't know how many seasons are planned for this, but if he's
I'm not sure they know.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a mainstay throughout, then absolutely, I think his character will be iconic.
Well, Lancet now is part of the finale with Vhagar and Aemond. It's like his dragon. He actually was begging the dragon not to kill his nephew, but at this point, he was still pretty new to that rider. Versus, Rhaenyra, she's had this dragon since she was a kid. He just got that dragon based off of his aunt dying. So it's like he was riding it, but it wasn't fully attuned to him yet. That's also the difference in these characters. If you had a dragon for a couple months versus this dragon's been your best friend your entire life. Like any kind of animal, a newer animal is not really going to listen to
you. Season 2 is getting. Is it? Are we getting 10 episodes? Is that right?
I heard 8.
Just 8. Yeah.
Just 8.
Yeah, but they are actually longer episodes, to my knowledge.
Yeah, but that's a cop out.
This episode, I think, was like 58 minutes.
So apparently, they're mulling the green light for the 3rd season. So I guess we'll see how season 2 does. I can't see that
as long as Otto Hightower dies.
Well,
he doesn't go out easy like Cersei and Lannister.
Well, before we begin to wrap up, actually, let's go through the characters and see which ones we think are going to survive or die this season.
Oh, jeez, I can do that.
Yeah,
it's Game of Thrones. I didn't think Ned Stark was going to die.
Well,
that's another reason why I didn't like Game of Thrones. I thought Ned Stark was the star, and he died before
everybody
the end of the
did.
First season.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, but it's a religious thing that Sean Bean has to die in every film he's in. I don't fancy the odds of either of these sons. I'll be honest. I think they're on shaky ground as to whether they'll survive to the end of season 2. I think she will, but not sure.
And she had 2 kids with her uncle, didn't she, Damon? Rhaenyra?
Yeah,
I know she had 2 kids with Damon, so not all her brood will be wiped out, hopefully.
I want to see these 2 daughters get more to do in the show. They stand around and look pretty a lot, and
those are Damon's daughters from his first marriage.
From his first marriage. But I think they're missing a trick to do something more interesting with them. I'd like to see something more interesting. And of course, did they not marry the 2 sons? I think that happened. It was proposed, but did it happen? Did it happen off camera?
They didn't show it yet. because
No,
it was proposed and everything was happening so
it was
fast.
proposed. I'm not
Yeah.
sure whether that's assumed to have happened between seasons, obviously, because they're quite upset at the death of the younger one.
Yes.
Better, Darth Plato says, better to wager on who will survive. Everyone else will probably die. That's not a bad suggestion. Yeah, I think these two are unlikely to survive the whole of the show. Whether they'll get, probably one of them will definitely get to the end of season 2, maybe both. Yeah. So Matt Smith's character, survive or die? What do you reckon?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I mean, he seems to just be too mean to die. Same with Aemon Targaryen.
I think he will die in the show. I think it will be very glorious, and he'll go out killing lots of people.
Yeah, you're both right. I want Daemon to live. Will he? I think he will, because he's as sometimes he can be a lunatic, but he's also very smart, and especially now more than ever, he's very tactful. I just think that anybody can die, but I will think Daemon's smart enough to find a way to live this season.
Here's what I think. I think if Daemon dies, I think he and Aemon Targaryen are going to end up killing each other in a very interesting battle. You ever saw that movie? It was a Viking movie starring Ethan Hawke and Nicole Kidman. It just came out recently. I forgot what it was called, but Ethan Hawke's brother.
Yeah.
So Ethan Hawke's son is looking for revenge. He kills.
Yeah, I saw it. But I can't.
Yeah, in the end, Ethan Hawke's son kills his father's murderer, but he ends up getting stabbed, mortally wounded in the process.
Yeah, Northman.
Northman. Thank you, Drew Gordon. Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen between Daemon and Aemon Targaryen.
Well, I can tell you that I can tell you 2 people that will be dead by the end of next week's episode. Can you guess which 2 I'm talking about?
Otto Hightower?
No. The rat catcher and
the assassins
and the gold cloak. Both of them are going to die by the end of next week's episode. If the people in the Red Keep don't find and kill them, the people that hired them will kill them, because they won't want them to be able to talk. So so they're both going to cop it.
They'll ask Daemon if they could join their cause, join his cause.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if they make it out of there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make it out of there. Do you think we're going to be seeing much more of the Stark?
I would say no.
Question.
I wouldn't think so. I think it's just there to kind of like a little bit remind us we're still in Game of Thrones universe, but it's not going to be too much, because that's the point. You don't want to have too much, because you start showing the Starks again, Winterfell, you risk running to now, hey, look, well, let's show some White Walkers, and that's the issue.
No, we won't go to White Walkers. I think that the Stark aren't. Well, they're sending 2,000 men, aren't they? But I think
graybeards, old men.
I think the Starks are going to get involved at some point, because they're in the trailer. There's that castle siege, and I'm not sure where that castle is that we see. They're attacking a castle, but it feels like it's like in the Riverlands or somewhere like that. So I think the Starks will get involved. They probably won't play a major role, but I think they will get involved at some point, because there's quite a few references in the original Game of Thrones about the North helping out the South and stuff like that. So I think they will get involved at some point. What about this character? Survive or die?
I just said I think he and Daemon are going to end up killing each other, just like in the Northmen. One of them's going to end up beheaded, and the other's going to be mortally wounded trying to behead him. So, who goes first? That's a mystery.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about these two where I can't see these two not fighting, but I do admit that Daemon is damn sure the better fighter, but his nephew is pretty powerful in his own right.
And Aegon, second of his name, trusts his brother. This guy, he's got to die soon. I don't see him
Yeah,
living up to the end of the season.
I think this guy is gonna die
Mm.
probably by the end of this season. I don't know who's going to kill him, but he's going to have sex with one too many people. He's going to upset somebody, or someone's going to find out. That was quite an interesting scene where, you know, she comes running in with the baby, and him and the Queen are at it on the bed.
Yep.
But
Sounds
the
good.
girl doesn't even say anything. She's just like, you know,
And that's her mother. Remember, she and her husband are brother and sister.
yeah. So Hightower, do you think he'll survive till the end of season 2?
I hope not. I just don't like him. He's too manipulative.
Yeah, but
I hope-
Yeah.
But
I
do
hope
you
he
think
dies.
that's,
I hope he does not die the way Cersei did, because Cersei got off too easily. I hope he dies a horrible death.
do you think they will kill him before the end of season 2? Though?
I don't know.
No.
I really can't answer that.
No, I think he'll still be around because he's
Yeah,
he's very cunning.
I think he'll survive.
Mm.
He'll survive this season. If they do kill him off, it'll be in episode 8. They'll definitely keep him around until then. Just if for no other reason, because Reef Ifans is such a fantastic actor. It's funny, his debut acting role was called Twin Town, and it's a kind of gangster comedy set in this town in Wales.
Is he Welsh?
Yes, he is originally. Rhys Ifans. You can't get much more of a Welsh name than Rhys Ifans. He is Welsh, and it was an okay little movie, and he was in it. There were two of them playing brothers, and I didn't think that they were going to go on to have much of a career, to be honest. Because the film came and went, disappeared really quickly. But I don't think the actor who played his brother in Twin Town really went on to do much. But he, you know, next thing I knew, he was in Notting Hill, and then after that, he was off. So yeah, you know, he's had a fantastic career, and long may that continue. What about the Queen? Do we think she's going to survive till the end of season 2? I think she will.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause she's part of the stars, so
yeah. Well, I think the conflict between the two women is really at the spine of this emotional core of this show. So I think it's very important for them to keep that going.
Yeah. I mean, this season right now comes down to two mothers.
Oh, that look must be love, I reckon. Yeah. So another nice, lovely shot there. That's a real location. That's
anyone think the King Aegon's going to survive by the end of season 2?
Yeah, well, that's a difficult. Maybe not. Him being off the throne by the end of season 2 is definitely a possibility.
Well, I'm more interested now that they killed his son. I'm more interested in how he's going to react, because just me, like, I'm not a parent, but like I said, if that was my child, or even a child that's a member of my family, all bets are off. Everyone's getting slaughtered.
Yeah, he's gonna completely lose his rag and make he's gonna make some kind of strategic blunder. That's
I
what
agree.
I predict. You know, the hand is going to advise against it. He's going to ignore him because his son's been killed. He's emotionally unstable.
He might kill his hand. He might kill his grandfather and put the other guy, the other manipulative guy, as his hand.
Jamalama has no fucking clue what's going to happen, except it's going to be bloody and tragic.
Oh yeah,
almost certainly. Yeah. So okay, well, let's give our final rating on this episode. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Pretty flawless, great writing, fantastic acting. These actors really know these roles now and are having a lot of fun with them. Pretty gripping, no wastage, great special effects. Great world building. Everything felt real and believable and familiar in the way you want it to be.
Yeah.
So 9 out of 10 from me. Blue, what do you give it?
Yeah, 9 out of 10. I agree. I mean, I have no flaws. I don't make them all 10 out of 10, but yeah, it's a very good start to season 2 and a very good continuation off the season 1 finale.
Yeah. Leroy.
I was going to give it a 9 out of 10 because of the ending when they killed the baby or the boy, but
after they killed that
Well,
baby, you're giving it 2 out of 10.
no, it was such a good show that I'm just going to give it 100%, 10 out of 10.
Well, wow.
Because even though that scene really messed me up, it got me interested to see how Aegon is going to respond, because I know there's going to be consequences. So even though I don't like watching kids, it's a fantasy, it's a show. I don't like watching kids getting killed, especially in that at all, or dying. But it definitely got me interested to see how Aegon is going to respond in the next episode, because there's going to a fight's going to be coming now. There's no turning back. So I was going to give it 9.5 out of 10. By this time, I'm going to give it complete 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Douglas Burns giving it 9.5. Drew Gordon 7, closer to an 8 than a 6. Okay.
What?
7 out of 10 is still good. 9.33, but that could be because he's got the 3 virus on his computer. Man, that was a nightmare yesterday. I was on Retro Nerd Girls stream, and every time I was trying to type something into the chat, just 33333 on my computer, and it would carry on writing it without me even touching the keyboard. It was so crazy. So yeah. Well, okay, so we're all agreed that season 2 is off to a cracking start.
Yeah.
We're going to review episode 2 probably at the same time next week.
Some stills ready too.
We'll have some stills ready. I mean, we had plenty of pictures between us, so it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
So don't forget, there's no Nielsen ratings tomorrow. So because I'm going drinking with a critical individual, so it's probably wise for me not to have commitments.
Said drinking critical. I wonder what you can mean.
Yeah, I know. Don't know. Yeah, secret meetings. So we'll postpone Nielsen ratings for next week. We are going to do the Acolyte on Wednesday, so you can look forward to Leroy ranting in the chat about how great it is again.
How about let me in on that stream as well, and I can explain myself better.
Yeah, you can come on. You can come on the last episode of that one when we do the court case thing. Band of Brothers episode 7 is on Sunday, which should be an interesting one. Oh, by the way, on that subject, Shane Taylor did get in touch with me, and he said, I got a text message from him yesterday. Lance, apologies for being missing in action. It's been a long Father's Day, but I do realise you've sent me a bunch of stuff and I haven't responded. My answer phone just doesn't notify me if somebody leaves me a message. So this is the actor who played Doc Rowe in Band of Brothers. I only heard it a couple of days ago, but haven't had time to get back to you. It's all been a bit mad. And then he talked about various family things he's got going on. But sorry I missed Bastone, but looking forward to catching up and watching that Day or Die interview you did. So hopefully we'll get Shane on. Maybe we'll get Shane on at the end. We'll see.
I forgot. Happy Father's Day, fellas.
Well, I'm not a dad, so.
Well, neither am I, but I'm sure you got nephews.
Yeah, but happy Father's Day, Chris.
Yeah, it was great. Seeing kids get killed on Father's Day.
Yeah.
So, before we go, would you guys like to see where I was on Saturday?
Oh God, sure.
What do you mean, oh God? What do you mean, oh God?
What are we going to show?
I was in the best place ever on Saturday, man. Yeah, it was a bit like that. I went to a rave, and it was honestly, it was off the charts. This event.
Miss Lance, just like
Yeah, it was a bit.
Da,
There
da,
was,
da, 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 da.
well, I'm gonna show you a clip because loads of video footage and
I hope you got hot girls in there.
yeah, actually, I danced with 4 of the hottest girls in the club the whole
See,
night.
I knew it.
It was
All right.
packed, absolutely packed,
I miss England, man.
and there were people up on all those balconies as well. There must have been 1,000 people there. I mean, it was amazing, and they had like
It's with the aliens too.
they had 7 DJs in a row, and yeah, Darth Plato looks noisy. My ears were ringing. They only stopped ringing this morning.
Man, I miss England. I was stationed there for 2 years.
It was good. It was good. It was really good. Dan Candy gave it 8.5. Drew's revised his thing to 8. Yeah. So Blue, what you got coming up? Anything?
Tomorrow we are doing Legend with Tom Hardy, a very I think underrated film, and I'll tell people on the panel and also the stream that people, I swear everyone knows like that one role. Oh, it's Bane. Tom Hardy has a one hell of a filmography. He's not just Bane.
Oh yeah, no, he does.
I like Tom. Hey, Blue Collar, you can send me a link to that because I'm also familiar with Tom Hardy's career. I liked him in Peaky Blinders, and I hated his character in The Revenant. I thought that was one of his best acting was in The Revenant.
Yeah, we're still deciding the time because especially with Nielsen ratings, we usually go around Lance's Nielsen ratings, but with Lance not going live, we may adjust it. So I'll find out when we're gonna make it, but definitely sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, yeah, because you can have a free reign on the time because you won't have to worry about clashing with me. Leroy has also got 3 new Western books out
this year,
you can find them on Amazon. Here they are.
That's my newest one, and this is the second book of my Frontier series.
Yeah. So Leroy had to dress up for that picture. That horse.
But my 3 new books that I published this year, as of the first week of May, they were all 3 of them were in the top 100 in Kindle on Amazon. Now, only 2 of them are still in the top 100, but all 3 of them for like the first week of June, they were in the top 100.
Darth is asking if you're wearing a jail shirt. It is true. Leroy is streaming from Folsom Prison right now.
Very funny. No, I'm not wearing a jail shirt. Do jail shirts have pockets?
I want to know if when you're writing this book, did you continually have that song, "Where the Eagles Fly"?
Lord, lift us up where we
belong.
Let me tell you a secret.
You must have had that playing in the background. Like, oh, where the Eagles fly.
That's where I get the title from.
Yeah.
3 of my books, no, 5 of my books the titles are inspired from songs. The third book in the Edge of the World trilogy, Two Worlds, One Family, is from a Phil Collins song. From the Tarzan movie soundtrack.
You've got 410 ratings for this already.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
In my other books, I had like over 1,000.
Yeah, and Leroy only wrote 200 of these reviews himself. So I'm kidding.
But
not as good as the rest, this person says. Hunt them down. So
I ignore the negative reviews.
Well, you know, you got to take things with a pinch of salt. If you don't agree with something, ignore it. If someone has some fair criticism, or you rushed something,
yeah.
You know, the good thing with the book on Amazon,
Lance,
go back and redo it.
But Lance, to answer your question, I think 5 of my books were in Two Worlds, One Family, River of Dreams. Two Worlds, One Family is from my Edge of the World trilogy. River of Dreams and Where the Eagles Fly from the saga of the Armstrong brothers, and from my Frontier series, Face of the Sun and The Great Divide were either the titles from songs or inspired from songs that I listened to. Like River of Dreams was from a Billy Joe song.
Yeah.
But I was very careful because
was very careful because just for the record, none of these books have anything to do with the songs they were named after. So I don't want to get sued.
No, I don't think that people can't monopolize titles. So
Yeah.
you might have to worry about that, even though, of course, getting sued is quite common in America.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
tell the guys in chat that thank you for the compliments.
Well, you just did thank them. There you go. So my manifesto never cracked the top 100. We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks to my two panelists, Leroy Peters and Blue Collar Loser, for coming on and digesting the show with us. We'll be back probably the same time next week doing episode 2. Thanks to everyone in the chat for your comments. Spread the word about the channel. I've got my 2-year channel anniversary coming up on the 14th of July. I'll be doing a long mega stream, hoping to get some super chats there to pay for that gas and electric bill I told you about before. But yeah, so do spread the word. We want to try and get to 5,000 subs, possibly on that day if possible. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with a trailer for a movie that you should be booking cinema tickets to go and see now.